Okey-dokey. It's on. It's on. Streaming. We'll do it before. In case something goes wrong with the line. Sometimes to reset or delete it. Yeah. It does go wrong sometimes. The internet drops out.
For how long have you been doing this already?
So very almost from the beginning. Maybe not quite from the beginning, but
That's how long has been the only cafe? 10 years?
so 7 years.
That's still quite a
Yeah, that's it. No, I mean, didn't do it quite from the beginning. At least 5 years.
nice.
I told several people how to use it, but that was pretty manual. People left.
Here you are.
Yeah, but it's okay. I got time here. I don't have time for it. I was almost in my almost,
You
but
were about,
now it's hard to pass it.
and then when you were not here, in classes.
That's why I was trying to teach people simple things. But if they don't do it every week, it's just difficult to remember.
Yeah,
The problem is it's okay, but if something goes wrong, I don't know what to do with
you
it.
know the things.
No, I'm just thinking. I don't know, there's no tricks, you just have to figure it out what
Yeah,
the problem
and
is.
you have to be resourceful and there's right, right?
Yeah, it's from the beginning to the end, and then find ways to solve it. So I also don't, I have to print out what is the problem.
Like today, for example, how would you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was before I was know you have to add loose bead in bag back.
Yeah.
But then it's still that's my own doesn't loose bead. So I have to have my adapter with me. It's another little thing that you have. So we have almost everything in the boxes there.
Yeah.
It's one we need to have.
And I mean, like, you didn't go.
I lost so much money in trading. I made a lot this year, but then also the last couple of weeks, this was very, very difficult. It's so difficult. I lost too much money. I cannot do this. It's not good.
Experience.
Yeah, this is quite a loss. Say, and also I don't know how many years to go.
Wow, there's multiple angles here. Robert, you're outdoing yourself. Look at this. Robert, have you ever?
Yes.
Always?
Yeah, I would have liked to have more. I would like actually some of the projects. I have to take it away.
I didn't realize you got it. Let's go ahead and Is it 6 already? Yes. think so too. But maybe one idea. But I'm just thinking.
The way it's live.
But if you're wandering around, you want them. No, you don't. They don't want them
Yeah, shall we start? Everyone in? Still coming. Can you have the control of the Samsung TV that we can put it off? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, shall we start? Yeah?
Let's start.
Yes, let's do it. Welcome everybody, again here at the Innovation Café. I'm Anne Moon, I'm the founder of Kazerne Foundation. I'm the founder of the whole Kazerne, but I'm now responsible for the foundation, so the design program. And I actually do feel a little bit weird because the moderator called in sick just a couple of hours ago. Hi Charlotte, if you're watching, get well soon. So Betsy and I will do the moderating today, and we have some nice guests for you to share, some nice ideas. So welcome Tessa, and welcome Dirk.
Thank you.
And you will introduce yourself in a bit. First, Betsy is going to ask something, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah?
sure. So maybe I wanted to start out with a little history because I don't know if all of you know, I was here at the very first Innovation Café in 2018. April 26th, we found out?
The first brainstorm already.
It was the brainstorm.
Yeah.
So that was 2018, a very long time ago, with the idea that we would build a platform, a discussion platform, a casual discussion platform of design meets tech to solve the world's wicked problems. And I think it's really great that you're all here to talk about that with us today, because I feel like these things need to be talked about. And I think we need to be a part of that solution instead of letting our leaders tell us what's going to happen. We need to be a part of those decisions and bring those things to government. So in any case, today's topic is really near and dear to my heart because I also personally left the corporate world to join my purpose. And I think a lot of you know my background, so I'm not going to go into that, but these are two people from my background. Dirk and I met over 10 years ago when I was with Startup Bootcamp High Tech Excel. And now he's gone on to do other beautiful things you'll hear about today. And Tessa is part of the Female Ventures platform previously, where Duke actually was involved, Duke von Hogeland, and Duke actually was one of the inspirations of this program. So that's I'm trying to connect all the dots, okay? Because I'm that person. If you know me, I'm a networker, and I'd like to connect the dots, okay?
Spider woman.
I'm the spider woman. That's how she described me today, and I thought that was pretty funny. But in any case, I have a question for everybody. We ask this question almost every time that we're here, and we want to know who's here for the first time. Okay, so they're all sitting on this side. That's really important. That's really important. So this side
That's
is
not
less,
too bad.
exactly. Okay, and now
It's pretension.
the other question might be, if you're a new person, how did you find us? Come on, just shout out. Be welcome, huh?
Meetup?
Meetup. That's a great place.
Okay.
So
Who found us via Meetup? You did? Yeah? Yeah. And via LinkedIn? Posters, warm network like family,
friends, how
Yeah.
newsletter.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
indeed.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
that helps. Thank you.
Yep. And I think we also need to talk about the news of Innovation Café. So Innovation Café next year will move to a last Thursday of the month platform. So that means every last Thursday, with the exception of July and December, we will be on the last Thursday of the month. So think
block
about
your
that.
calendar, Ernst.
Mark your calendars. Yes. But that's next year. Next year, 2026.
Next year,
2026 will be the last Thursday of the month. In July, we'll take a break. In December, we'll have a special event on a special day because the last Thursday of the month is not practical. No. But then we also have a new theme for next year. Do you want to talk about the theme? Because I think that's actually more, no?
Yeah, of course, with Kazerne Foundation, we would really love to contribute to the development of nature-inclusive design. So that's the broader theme. How can we connect the design and tech world for the transformations that we're heading to? And our first focus might be on materials. Like what you see here in the exhibition, the circle farming will come for a talk. Materia Futura from the bio-based plastics. The shiny pink and glittery ones will be here. Jonathan with the linen will be here, and much more. So keep an eye on our calendar, and then you will find out.
Very cool. Awesome. So the purpose of today is to actually talk about purpose. So we have two great speakers, and I think the idea now would be to turn it over to them and allow them to tell us their purpose and why they are doing what they're doing. So I guess we start out with Tessa, I think we decided earlier.
Yeah.
And let's go for it. Give us your rousing pitch. Indeed.
Yeah, I think the best way to tell you about my purpose is to go a little bit back in time and tell you also about my career path, because it's been quite a long path for me to get to where I am today. Well, similar to Betsy, I was born and raised in the U.S., Dutch parents, and did my undergraduate in the U.S. and then worked a few years there in advertising, and then moved to Holland to do my MBA, and never left. But I was really just, on the kind of business track. I first worked at General Electric as a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I don't know if that means something to people. Yeah. So all about process improvement. I then switched to ABN AMRO, ended up working there for 12 years, always internationally. I speak fluent Dutch, but I just felt more comfortable in the international environment. And left there in 2000. I was always, doing strategy and process improvement, program management, so almost like an internal consultant, and always doing, change management, stakeholder management, and that gets to be a little tiring after a while. If you keep, waiting for decisions to be made, and then decisions get made, and then, people in the country say, yeah, nice that you did that there at head office, but we're not doing that. And, after a while, that kind of gets to you. And so I decided to leave in a reorganization in 2018. And actually kind of rolled into a startup. And for me, it was like a breath of fresh air. I could make changes quickly. I could see the impact of what I was doing immediately. And I thought, okay, I don't ever want to go back to the corporate world if this is what I can also experience. Unfortunately, that startup ended quite quickly due to health issues of the founder. I then moved to another, more of an SME, in the transportation sector, where I was operational director. Learned a lot, not my sector, I figured out, and decided that I wanted to help startups and scale-ups more on a project basis, so helping them with process, with structure. But I had zero network, actually, in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Very different nowadays, but back then I really didn't have a network. And so I started to reach out to lots of people that knew someone in entrepreneurship, and ended up meeting my co-founders of my first company, Masters of Scale, actually, Duke and Duke, who also Betsy knows, and basically built that company for the past 5 years. It's a platform that connects experienced entrepreneurs and experts to scaling founders. Pretty tough sell, we discovered. A lot of people want free advice in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We had accelerators that really were interested in our vetted group of experienced entrepreneurs and experts. So what we've done now, we've put on a platform and are letting the connections happen on their own. And for me, that opened up space at the beginning of this year to follow my purpose, which I first thought was to be a fractional COO, but really started to realize, wait, but that's not where I see I'm spending more of my time. I started angel investing 4 years ago and ended up becoming very passionate about closing the funding gap for especially female founders. I don't know if you're aware, but only 1% of VC money goes to female-founded companies, full female-founded companies. 8 or 9% goes to mixed teams, and 90% goes to all-male teams. So that's something that I really wanted to help change. So I ended up starting my current company, AtVenture Platform, where our main goal is to close the funding and wealth gaps, not only for gender, for gender diversity, but for all forms of diversity, and making angel investing more accessible. For those of you who don't know what angel investing is, it's investing your own money into startups, usually quite early stage, also depending on how much money you have. Our aim is to get more diverse angels in the ecosystem, who in turn invest into more diverse founding teams. And we do that through education, a community, and deal flow. So we also connect them to, we screen and we source startups that they can invest in. So I think that's, I really ended up turning my passion, my hobby into my work now.
So maybe a question from me actually is, can you run us through like what a deal looks like? How I mean, you're talking about, for people here who maybe don't understand the process of investment so much, I mean, how does a company find you? How do investors find you? I mean, how does your business model work? How does it work? Tell us.
Yeah, so I mean, we're maybe a bit unique. We're a matching platform. So we have our community members that they pay an annual fee. And we have plenty of startups knocking on our door. I've been active in the ecosystem for quite a couple of years now. And in the meanwhile, people know to find me. I also have investor on my LinkedIn that also sometimes delivers some deal flow. Really what we do is people can apply through our website, fill in a funding application. We will do a first screening if it even is a match. Then we have a part of our committee community is our investment committee. So those are members that are doing an extra task for us and enjoy really looking and diving deeper into startups. And so we have a scoring sheet. Everyone scores it, and we come to a decision: do we want this company to pitch for our community? So that assume a company pitches. For our members, we now have almost 30 members, 30 active angels. We started in July, so I'm pretty proud of that number. We have the angels watch the pitches, and then afterwards we ask, okay, are you interested in continuing discussions? And then at that point, it's time to dive into more deeper due diligence. And so we also facilitate that process. We help them. Some of our angels are experienced, so they understand what to do, and some of them are new. Those we help in more detail.
So you're almost a startup yourself.
We are definitely a startup.
Yeah.
I'm definitely working the hours of a startup founder at the moment.
Yeah. Earlier you called yourself an accidental entrepreneur.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of fun. So, and what is like in investment world, they call it the investment thesis, or what types of companies do you specifically look at? I mean, is it any kind of company, or are you looking at a specific, kind of company with a specific kind of background, or software companies, hardware companies, companies with only frogs in management, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, so our thesis is actually quite broad. Reason being is because it doesn't have to be a diverse team that's applying. We say we want diversity on either side, of course, ideally both sides of the tables, so either investor or founder, but it could be both. So ideally it's a diverse founding team, but it's not a hard requirement. Our scope is Europe, So we're sector agnostic. We have different community members that some are interested in B2B, some are interested in B2C. We definitely want it to be, purpose-driven and impactful. That's definitely a requirement, I would say. Early stage. So usually they're raising between 100K and 1 million, because our community does small tickets.
Yep.
But I can talk a little bit more about that later.
Yep. Hey, so let's move over to Dirk and tell us about your journey.
Thank you very much. So we know each other from the Startup Bootcamp in 2015, where you started. So my name is Dirk van Berg, founder of Protect Our Winters. Explain a little bit about that one. But our slogan is turn your passion into purpose, and I think that's maybe a link to today. And what we do is we rally the outdoor community for better regulation in climate change, which means we are a policy NGO fighting in Europe for better regulations about the Green Deal, for example, for the biodiversity laws, which is on stake at now. I just came from Brussels the other day. We spoke about the aftermath of the COP, the climate summit in Belém 2 weeks ago, which was not that successful, so to say. And where I came from is that I started my company in 2015. That's where I know Betsy from. I'm a human movement scientist, so I'd love to know why people move, why they act, why they behave in sports, what they do. And then we founded this sports startup called Dashtag, where we invented a small wearable sensor for amateur athletes, exactly the same as professional soccer players nowadays have with the men's bra, when they pull off the shirt, you see that. That's what we had, but then for the amateur market, which grew really fast in the US. So we ended up in San Francisco, and I stepped out of it in 2019, just before COVID, not knowing, of course, that COVID would come. So my co-founders really had a hard battle afterwards, which they didn't allow to sport anymore, to fly, to do any activity. So it's for me, it was a good time to step out. But I learned a lot from that experience. And the main thing is I flew a lot from here to directly to San Francisco. And in that time I thought, okay, I want to do something better. I want to give something back. And then I knew the organization called Protect Our Winters, which already was founded in the US. And I wanted to start it here in the Netherlands as well. And now we are almost 3 years in. And we have this organization, Protect Our Winters Netherlands. In January 1st, we will expand to Benelux to unite the whole outdoor industry to fight for climate change. And I don't know if we have the visual of the theory of change instead of the movie. Let's have a movie.
Chris.
Oh. Sorry? Yes. Yeah, this one. I asked you to show this. I was not allowed to bring that much, but this is what we do. So what we want to do is unite the outdoor industry, and that's all of you. If you love to hike, if you love to do mountain biking, if you love to ski, that's you. But it's mainly, and that's where the real magic happens. Of course, it's at the businesses. So from the Bever. Decathlons, but also the Patagonias, the Raab, North Face, all those companies, not just in the Netherlands, but in Europe as well. And we want to use them for systemic change. And our goal is quite simple. We hold on to the Paris Agreement, which you all know, of course. It's carbon neutral in 2050. So we want to reach the industry to a net zero in 2050, and that's our goal. And we do that through three things. We educate people. So we go to primary schools, high schools. We go to companies to give climate literacy training. And that's really fun. So talking to kids of, let's say, 10 years old, to tell about the difference between weather and climate. That's so impressive. And they ask the right questions. But they feel lost already because they are not in a position to do something. So it's really valuable for us to educate them at a lower level as well. We collaborate with companies. So for example, this week we have a company called Clean Canteen. They make bottles, not plastic one, but metal ones. And we collaborated with Bever, and we called out to our community, say, hey, if you are a designer, you have now the chance to design your own bottle, which will be sold in the Bever Winkel. Winkel, whoa, hear me? Winkel. The Bever store. And the money will be donated to our charity. So it's a real collaboration of multiple actors in this one. And we do advocacy work. And advocacy work is to try and to trigger everyone, individuals, but also the companies, to speak up on climate change. So if you are a brand and you are earning money from nature, which most companies do, especially in our field, we think it's no longer a possibility. You need to act upon it and speak up to your following, to your community, but also to policymakers. And it's the time where you say, well, it's not my cup of tea to speak up and to say, hey, for example, the last elections, I think also those companies need to say and address their audience, say, hey, you need to vote. You don't have to say which party, but at least go vote, and then hopefully that your audience, who loves nature, makes the right decisions. So that's what we do, and we fight for three things, which is quite obvious. In the beginning, speaking up for climate policy, which I told a little bit about, changing the way we travel. So the outdoor industry relies a lot has a lot of mobility in it. If you want to go to the mountains, you have to travel. If you want to go to here, even in Eindhoven, if you want to go to the sea, we have to travel. That can be done in multiple ways, but we ask to do it on a more sustainable way. Taking a train, or at least try not to fly as much as possible. And we want to transform the sports from within. So we ask all our companies, but also the federation, associations, to make impact in your own business. So create a sustainable business model, which is difficult, and it's not by far not 100% possible, but at least you can step up and do something about it. I don't know if you know a little bit about climate change and action in your company. You have the scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1 is what you can do yourself. So lower your energy cost, not the cost, but lower your energy consumption. And the scope 2 and 3 is more how to influence your other relations in that field. And I think that's where the real magic could happen. And this is what we do with Protect Our Winters. Yeah, I think that's a little bit what we do.
So the question that I think comes to my mind, and it comes to many people's mind, is, so this is about skiing? No, are you a skier, or what are you? How did you come?
You mean the title called Protect Our Winters?
Yeah. How did you come to this?
Yeah, well, I didn't come with it, so the name already existed. It's founded by Jeremy Jones, who was a professional snowboarder, and he thought, from the US, of course, and he thought, why I want to ski in 20 years the same with my kids, the same way as I do. So he called it Protect the Winters. In the meantime, it evolved, and it's a way better, more larger community. And what he did was take Olympic champions to the Senate in the US to talk and say, hey, we need to discuss important stuff. So it comes from skiing and snowboarding, but it evolved more, and maybe it's a good example. This year was the International Year of Glacier Preservation. The glaciers are really melting quite fast these days, too fast. And I think not many of us know the importance of the glaciers as we have. Maybe in Europe, we depend a little bit less on them. For example, in Asia, 10% of people immediately benefit from clean water comes from the glaciers in the Himalaya, in China, in India, in Pakistan. So if the glaciers are melting, people are really affected. And that means we need to do whatever it takes to keep the Earth warming up to 1.5 degrees. Otherwise, people are losing their lives. And yeah, we cannot go skiing, but that's like the last effect of the least minor effect of it.
Incidental. Okay. So,
Thank you.
very good. Thank you.
I have a little notice that Hans is not here tonight. Can can someone else do the wrap-up later on? Hans is one of our regulars that always does a brilliant wrap-up. Yeah,
Yusuf,
will you
wanna
try, Yusuf? Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. So, wow. Questions?
I think it's really remarkable how different you two are. To be honest, could we have chosen two different people? But you're on a really fundamental level trying to change governmental policy. You're trying to make businesses that can actually, kind of be players in the economy, and act differently. So I find it really remarkable how different you are, but actually towards the same goal. So I think that's really cool.
Can I just mention, we're also trying to close the wealth gap. Yeah. So it's not only for the companies, it's also for the investors, because we're also trying to make angel investing more accessible. So we say, for example, you can start with us with €2,500 per startup. And a lot of people think, oh, I need to be a millionaire, or I need to be a financial expert, or I need to have had a huge exit as an entrepreneur. Those are the myths that we're trying to break, because that's not the case. And yeah, you can start with much smaller amounts than most people realize.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, what I really like about it is that you actually choose who you give your money to, and in that way you make the impact. And I think it's really important for people to understand that where their money goes, that makes an impact also in your daily groceries. And yeah, that's a nice understanding.
Yeah, the purest form of impact investing that exists, of course.
Yeah. Yes. Question.
Sometimes it takes a little warm up. People have to kind of get warmed up to the questions.
Yeah, I have a question for Dirk. And maybe this is a very short answer to this question. You're focusing on outdoor people, which I would assume are already inclined to do the right thing. Is that a conscious choice? Because there are more like leisure activities that probably have a bigger impact.
So yes.
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah. No, we do what's in what we think it's in our niche, in our power to use. So once again, turn your passion into power. A lot of people are outdoor people, and whether you're left or right, if you a political view, if you're wealthy or not, so people like to go out. You need to be outdoors, and we say, okay, you need to use that passion to do something good. And it could mean that you say, okay, I will take more often a bike. That's good. But if you know that's something I learned along the way. So if we all here in this group take only 3-minute showers with cold water, we do not eat meat anymore, and we don't fly anymore, we take only public transport, it only saves 5% of the carbon emissions. So the big chunk is with the industry. So what we want to do is to try and to use the power of all the individuals to mobilize those companies. And this morning I came from in a meeting with Atomic. It's a ski brand. They are hosting this Atomic Ski Summit, where they actually talk with competitors to see, okay, how can we make our skis better in a way that when they are finished, they can be easily taken apart, because normally they are glued, which is really difficult to recycle. And now they're talking about, with all their competitors, how can we change this? And that's, from within, it's really something. And yes, we can take the world, but this is our niche, and this is what we want.
Let's see, you want to do an in-between, because you were... we were talking...
Yeah, earlier we were actually thinking of that exact question that you already answered, which was basically, does an industry actually impact more of the CO2 than the individuals? And you're basically flipping the script and saying, use the people influence to help in industrials make the right choices. And I think that's really powerful. So we had that exact question, like, well, we're going to stop flying around, but what about these industrials? What are they doing about it? So I think
it's exactly what Tessa. So the difference between our stories are way smaller than things. those companies need technological innovations. They need new business models. And they come from startups. Yeah. So it's a big. All things are connected, of course. So
redesigning the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Redesign the world. Yeah.
Here's a question for Dirk. You make quite some bold statements about the climate change and are assuming consequences of it. I would like to ask you, could you walk us through, explain from your point of view, how do you see and understand the climate change? So that, for myself, I make sure that we talk about the same thing. But maybe also for others too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand. So the bold statements I make are not made by me. It's made from, for example, the COP. But it's so what we do. How we work at POW. We have so-called alliances. One of them are athletes, so pro athletes that have a big voice. We use creatives, and that's maybe also a nice angle for today. To make that story beautiful with photographers, filmmakers, but we also use scientists. We use people, geologists, glacier experts, but also people that are psychologists that understand the effects on people of climate change. So what we do and what we try to do is to tell a good story, a nice story in a good way, told by influential people, in the right way, with the right data. And I think that's why you're a little bit aiming for. Where do we get our data? Or what?
If you could tell for yourself, what is your understanding of the climate change? So explain how you see and understand it. What does it mean?
The climate change for us, the big goal is that we try to lower the rising of the temperature below 1.5 degrees. I don't know if that's possible anymore, but that's what we see. So heating up the earth has big effects on everything, including bigger storms. You see now in Sri Lanka, for example, it's flooded. Smaller countries as Tuvalu, the sea are rising, so the whole islands are being washed away. We see the glaciers in Greenland, but also in the Alps, are really pulling back. That's climate change. And all the effects of that is that people, in the end, get affected by it. So I'm not trying to say we need to keep the glaciers alive. I'm not saying we need to build no dams, but I see that people and communities are directly being affected by climate change. And that's what I want to protect.
Might this be a good moment to show your movie?
Yes, it's not a movie. It's just a 1-minute trailer.
Sorry.
So what we do,
trailer?
What we do, maybe it's one sentence introduction.
Sorry.
So we have a group of alliances, and one of them are athletes. And we followed for 2 years. We followed Christian de Jong, who is an alpinist, and he climbed the 44 highest, the prominent peaks of the Alps. And prominent peaks. You have to watch the movie. Next week will be in premiere in Tuschinski. It's the difference between two peaks. Well, that's a little bit a prominent peak. And they're quite often they're distant, so it's hard to reach. And he did it in 2 years, climbed the 44 prominent peaks, completely CO2 carbon neutral. And we tried to make a movie out of it, and I've asked to show the trailer of it.
In de bergen, als je denkt, wow, we zijn er bijna.
Dutch, sorry.
Hoe lang is het dan meestal nog?
Ver. Yes.
Bovenop de berg een stuk van een gletsjer afbrak.
Der Verlust der Eismassen hat sich zuletzt dramatisch beschleunigt.
is geen reden om aan te nemen dat dat mis zou gaan. Wow.
Holy shit.
Can you translate it just shortly for the people that don't speak Dutch?
Okay.
Yeah, wow. Maybe
Chris,
first we give
how
him
far
a
is
hand
it when-
because this is really impressive.
Thank you very much. It's a journey about Christian and multiple climbers to reach the top, walking, running, climbing, everything like human-powered. And he asked us, hey, can you follow us and make a movie out of it? And along the way, he noticed that paths that he used to walk, like 10 years ago, are missing because of snow that is away. So he realized, okay, the Alps are changing really, really fast. And it's now being said that the effects in the Alps are a little bit like the how do you say, the canaries? The canaries of the climate change. So whatever happens in the Alps is a warning for what happens later on. And that's the story that's being told in the film.
Thank you. Very cool. Questions? Yes.
And for Dirk, how do you reach the industries? Are you chasing them individually or they come to you?
Yeah, but, maybe that's also with the platform. We have to chase them because it's not on their priority list to speak up on climate change. They want to make money. That's what a company does. But at the same time, you see that people are stepping up and see we need to use our voice to do the right thing. Companies, labels like B Corp or using 1% for the planet, that are good initiatives, but they need to make a next step. And you see that some companies are really advanced, like Patagonia, who just released their sort of impact report saying that they are still doing really bad things still while achieving the best thing. But yeah, we need to go after them. But also, for example, after federations and associations that have real impact. So, and once in a while, a company comes to us and says, okay, if we want to do business in 20 years, we need to do something. Can you help us? But that's more.
So, Dirk, do you sometimes run into startups that might need some pre-seed funding? Sorry, to connect. Sorry.
But I see what you do. Bridge the gap. What we see is that now in September we had the first brand advocacy day in Amsterdam, and we did not speak about okay, how can we use our voice. It was okay, how can we do new things? How can we bring new technology, new insights to the market? And I think I cannot stress it enough as a former founder myself, how important it is to invest in new companies, because we don't know the answer. We need brilliant young people to come up with things, and it might not end up successfully, like my own startup, but it most likely will change or influence other ones that might end up be really, really successful with change. And I think that's what you do with the matchmaking.
And Tessa, do you have companies that deal in fixing the climate, like assessing the climate? I mean, we talked earlier about Dryad, who was busy with dealing with forest management, but maybe other companies who are using satellite data to look at glaciers, or do you see companies like this on your horizon?
Lots of them. Yeah. We actually, I'm also in a different angel group called Great Stuff Ventures, and our pre-screening team said, we're getting carbon tired. There's so many pitch decks coming in with carbon initiatives that we can't see anymore. So yeah, there's definitely a lot. Yeah.
Are there designers here that can help, and R&D people that can help?
Not me, but I have a question for Tessa. When you invest in a company that tries to have a positive impact in the world. Do you expect lower returns and do you accept that, or do you expect the same kind of returns within any other company?
Yeah, good question. I think, I mean, first of all, of course, you never know how things are going to turn out, right? Angel investing is high risk. Personally, I'm willing to accept lower returns if there's a really high impact. Ideally, it's both, right? Also, not only for financial returns, but also because it means that that company can have an even greater impact in what they're doing. Of course, it may take longer, but yeah, ideally, it's both. But yeah, personally, I'm willing to accept lower returns if it means there's still a huge impact.
First, Marina. Yeah, I can't enter from there.
Sorry. Yeah, once more for Tessa. So the pre-assumption is, of course, that there are way more starters, or that there is way more requests for investors than there are angel investors. That's also a little bit what I heard from, in between the lines in your story. While I also experienced that there's a lot of money. How is that? How is it so misaligned? And how to solve that, or how are you going to solve that for us?
Yeah, good question. I think a huge part of the misalignment comes from the fact that a good chunk of the money is in venture capitalists and who are professional investors, and they're always going to, because of their business model, they're always going to be looking for potential unicorns. And a lot of impact companies just don't fit that mold. And so I think that's so there's a mismatch between the type of investors and what they're expecting, because in order to be able to pay their investors back, they need to have those unicorns in their portfolio. Otherwise, the model just doesn't work, unfortunately. And a lot of startup founders don't understand that. They think, I'm going to go to VCs, and they get disappointed because why won't they invest in me? Yeah, because you're not a potential unicorn. So I think, I think the way what we do notice is that people from diverse backgrounds tend to invest in different types of things than, all the white males who are right now 90% of the investors. So we see, especially women, they are definitely willing to accept lower returns for the impact. They're really driven by purpose-driven founders. So the way I'm trying to help is to get more of those kind of investors into the ecosystem, and not only women, but all kinds of people who believe in diversity and creating more diversity in the ecosystem. So men are also welcome, by the way. Just want to make that clear.
I got actually a question. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I spoke with the founder of the Good Roll, Sander. And I don't know, who knows the Good Roll? It's toilet paper, right? Yeah. So they make toilet paper, but their story was completely different. They are building factories in Ghana where they make this pulp out of bamboo. And with that pulp, they make also paper, toilet paper. And the question came, they needed a lot of investment, build the factories to produce and to make sure that it's in the Albert Heijn and things like that. But he said, that every euro I earn, I put back into my company. How would you see that as an investor to keep investing in a company that keeps on growing? It needs money, and I think even more money later on. What would you do as an impact investor to make sure you keep up with them, with that growth? Because they have the ambition to really change the world, but they need money.
Yeah, at some point they need to go to, of course, professional investors. Usually, angel investors can't keep up once it gets to a certain level, unless you're a billionaire, maybe, But I think there you need, fortunately, there's more and more impact VCs, although sometimes it's kind of greenwashing. They say they're impact, but they just look at exactly the same things as VCs, traditional VCs. But you definitely see more and more. Family offices are also really impact driven. I'm in a WhatsApp community for women in impact investing, and I've never seen so many people working for family offices in one group. So there you see, but it's really the roles of the professional investors that need to step in and keep growing. But in general, the pie gets bigger, which it does when the company grows. That's great for me as an investor. But at some point, I will probably get kicked out as a small investor. I started 4 years ago, so I haven't had my first exit yet, but hoping to soon, because they say 5 to 10 years is what you need to think of.
2 questions, one for Dirk. What has been the biggest challenge you have faced with companies for behavioral change and for actually caring to incorporate the sustainability measures? And for Tessa, I was very surprised by the statistics that only 1% of the funding goes to females, so why? And just as a side note, I'm building a startup. It addresses climate change, but from the water perspective. So maybe that's a refreshing thing to talk to later on.
Companies are reluctant. So you need to find the right person within a company, mostly at the C-level, because they can change. They have the authority to change. What really helped was the CSRD regulation. It was the Corporate Sustainable Reporting Directive, made mandatory by the EU, starting with the bigger companies, and then companies needed to make an impact report, but then on detailed level. But it's watered down like completely this fall. That helped really a lot in their focus. What we try to see and try to understand is that companies that take an advantage in their sustainable measures will, in the end, survive, because they are in for the long run. You see that young people that come to the labor market now are more choose for companies that are have this sustainable focus. So that's what a little bit do, but it's still. They don't want to talk about it that much. They don't want to brag about it. They don't want to choose. They don't want to go to Brussels with us to talk about it. So, like I said, I was in Brussels. We spoke with one lobbyist from Patagonia. So they have one guy who is actually lobbying, and one from Oatly. And Oatly is the milk, the Haver milk. Whoa, oat milk. Jeez, Haver milk. Oat milk. And they have a strong lobby as well. And what we see at the agriculture things, and we see at the fossil fuel lobby, they're really big and well organized. And what we try to do is to organize the outdoor community as well. There are 180 million people in Europe are addressed as outdoor people. That's a huge community. So if we find a way to unite them and try to push them for better regulation, and that's our goal. But still, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so to answer your question on why so little funding goes to female founders, it's a very complex problem that's multifaceted. I think the first is what I mentioned before. So I told you about these numbers, but also, almost 90% of investors are men, and yeah, people invest in what they recognize. Right, so that's a big challenge. There is also proof and research done that women founders get different questions from investors. So they get preventative questions, as they call, so to do with risks and break even, and whereas men get promotion questions, talking about growth and ambition, and so yeah, that immediately puts a woman, if she's not aware of that, puts her at a disadvantage in the eyes of the investor. So what I always say, I always try to educate also female entrepreneurs about this and say, if you get a preventative question, answer it in a promotion way. So if they ask, when are you going to be break even, say, we're more focused on our growth. We want to keep investing into the company, and we're not focused on getting break even right now, because we want to grow by reinvesting everything. So it's a conscious thing. So I think that's so biases. I think on the other side, it's women tend to be more risk averse, so they tend to become, not take as often the step to become an entrepreneur. I think that's the first thing. Secondly, they also are oftentimes a lot more realistic in their plans. So, men tend to, overflate their numbers. Women tend to be very realistic. So what an investor does is that because they're used to the overinflated numbers of the male founders, they slash the numbers in half, and then the business case isn't as attractive anymore. So that's also, people need to realize that female founders are much more realistic about their financials, for example. And what's interesting though is, in general, diverse teams deliver better returns not only for investors, but just in general. They and there's evidence of that, but which is still a surprise.
And you might wonder why. Why do diverse teams deliver more results? And it has to do with diversity of mindset and background. So I think that we talk about this a lot in as investors feel it's a mandated, we have to have diverse teams, and why should we have to do that? And let's stop, passing laws that require that. But they should want it. They should want it, yeah? Go ahead.
See?
Yeah, please.
So I've myself been very outspoken about these matters. Thank you so much for your work, Tessa, and also thanks for sharing your story. It's very inspirational how you on a systemic level trying to bring change. Myself, I'm a founder from diverse immigrant background and climbing up the social mobility ladder. And you get always this stupid question like, wow, de ga je dat bedacht? Moet ik dat doen? Zo ben ik ambitieus. So I totally understand the low expectation patterns or cognitive biases. The question is, what is the role of the government here? You are as an individual trying to do something and you are like advocating and lobbying. And for me as a founder, it also feels ungrateful. Why am I doing the good job of the government and they're not paying me? So what can we do collectively to address richting gemeenteraadsverkiezingen in Eindhoven, the municipality elections, and something also the international community should also learn to leverage their political power. This is something we can talk about. What's the role of the government in this? Thank you so much.
But it's a really important one because they set the boundaries, what to do, what not to do. Simple example in our field of where we are. Now companies we work with say, please don't buy a new jacket, repair. The taxes on repair gear is 21%. So that's strange. So you bought already something which is already been taxed, and now you want to repair it, reuse it, and that has to be taxed. It's not that much, but it's a good example of how regulations could work, and if you try to influence them for the better. And I think in March, the municipality elections, what we say is at least go and vote. We're non-partisan as an organization. But we really want to ask also the younger people. I see some young people as well here. At least go and vote because that's the majority of where the influence is.
I think we have time for 2 more questions, and there were already 2 people here.
I think he wanted to answer from my part as well. I think 2 big things that I see where the government can play a role. First of all, making it easier to figure out where you can get subsidies as a startup, because it's such a complex landscape, whereas in other countries, for example, Ireland, it's just one place you go to, and that's where all the subsidy money is, period. And here you need to have a consultant, right, that you do no cure, no pay, and they can help you get a subsidy. And I think, that's needs to be cleaned up and made more transparent. Yeah. The second one is something you see in other countries as well, is that there's also tax benefits for angel investors. Nothing like that exists in the Netherlands. So there's no, tax stimulation to become an investor. And yeah, I think that could also benefit. There are things to help investors. For example, you can set up a fund. If you're planning to invest $1 million as a group, the government will match it. But you're limited then to only investing in the Netherlands. And we usually have a broader scope than just the Netherlands. So yeah, but at least the tax benefits I think could be very useful.
I mean, there's almost a tax penalty for investing. I mean, it's not even there's a tax benefit. It would be great if there was a tax benefit, but it's worse than that here. It's not even neutral. It's a tax, penalty if you're investing, depending on the sum. It's bad here. I don't think you really have to have a lot of money to be an angel investor here. And you're saying no, we don't have to do that. We can splice up our funds into smaller amounts, but the tax pressure of doing that and the administration that you need to do to participate, it makes it not attractive. And I think if we can work on changing that, I think that's really important from a government level, right?
Please go on talking after the drink. So,
yeah, go. One more.
Yes. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
My question goes to Dirk. Did you try to approach supranational organizations such as the United Nations with your climate change, issues? Because, it's huge.
Yes, we did. So we are organized in Europe, so there are more organizations like the Netherlands. We have Austria, Germany. So we collaborate also on a European level. We made our first movie around Christian. There was this film called Downstream, and Downstream was made in the 3 biggest rivers in on the globe. So it was in Europe, in South America, and in New Zealand. And it was sponsored by and paid by VF. VF is the mother company of the North Face, brands like that. And we took that movie all the way up to the European Parliament, but also to the United Nations, where we showed it and talked with glacianists, with experts in that field, to address the importance of the melting glaciers. That was the movie about, and the biodiversity loss we get. So yes, we are trying to get there. We're also part of, for example, Can Europe. Can Europe is a climate action network where a lot of organizations as Protect Our Winters are involved.
Tessa? Do you want to add something to that? What you do? Did you also, or what was the question not for Tessa?
Okay. See you work for the night.
Sorry. Thanks. I have a very difficult question for you. Well, first of all, thanks for your stories. They're very passionate and believable, so we believe you as a person. Especially, I can resonate with Dirk, with you. I'm a mountain climber myself, so all your images of the glaciers are very, very familiar. So, and yet at the same time, I think you dropped the word greenwashing. The issue of trust, basically, the question to both of you. You're doing marvelous things, but you understand people don't trust you, whether it's rational from your data or your whole activity and so on. Greenwashing is a term not without reason. So how you deal with lack of trust, mistrust, or like different forms of mistrust and so on. And the same question, of course, for Tessa. It's a slightly different field, but we also know that the whole investment and startups and so on, all glorious and fantastic, but at the same time it's a magnet for conmen, for swindlers. We know how deal with this negative charge.
Good one. So I've got a lot of different angles to answer that, so we can later on talk about it. The main thing, what we really want to say is that we act according to imperfect advocacy, meaning that we try to say and ask all the companies, but all the individuals to take action, knowing that nobody is perfect. So yes, I will fly as well. Exactly. Exactly. So it's a really difficult and complex topic. We try to stay away from not stay away from the term greenwashing, but we try to. We're not sitting across the table to partners. We sit next to them. And one campaign, and that's the last example, is the FIS. The FIS is the World Ski Federation, but then in French, Fédération Internationale de Ski, I guess. And they claimed that they wanted to be carbon neutral in 2030. They had no plan. They didn't even have one person, like the sustainability manager or something. So we hold them accountable, and we used professional athletes who said, okay, we fly every other week to Canada, to America, to Europe to participate in our games. How can we be sustainable in 5 years? So we sat next to them, and now they have the sustainability manager. They dropped the claim of 2030 carbon neutral and try to start changing from within. So yeah, not saying you do greenwashing is something. No, we say, hey, we can help you in the right direction.
Yeah, obviously a little bit of a different angle. Fortunately, I haven't come across con men or founders trying, selling air. Fortunately, that hasn't happened yet. So hopefully it doesn't. We're usually a very small investor with my group, or sometimes me as an individual. Ideally, we're co-investing with a larger lead investor who is doing the serious due diligence, right? So because we're small, we don't necessarily have all the capacity and resources to be doing a serious due diligence. Of course, if it's a very small company and there is no lead investor, then we do it ourselves. We'll do checks and things like that. So that's at least on the say the startup side. Say, of course, on the angel investor side, I think it's about being a good angel investor, right? Trying, I think you were saying sometimes you have a business devil instead of a business angel. Yeah. Fortunately, I personally don't know a lot of angel investors that are really, bad. Usually, to be honest, from what I hear is the exited entrepreneurs that can be the really bad angel investors because they miss their own company, so they're trying to take over the steering wheel of the founders. I think it's about being respectful, respecting the founder's time, and always being open. I always offer to give feedback if I decline someone, and just being aware of their time as well. So fortunately, it hasn't really been in like the really bad cases that you're alluding to for me. Let's hope it stays that way.
Do you have a closing question? Or shall we go on to Yusuf?
Before we do that, I remembered something we forgot from the intro, which was basically many corporations in December have a giving goal to match the end of year bonuses, or sometimes you can choose if you work, let's say, at a Philips or ASML, to choose to have your giving matched by your corporation, right? And apparently, because they're in a foundation which promotes the idea of community, and technology and design and solving the world's problems, can be supported by this giving matching from many companies, including ASML. So it would be interesting if this is of interest to you to support our organization to push, keep helping us push these ideas forward.
Yes, thank you, Betsy. Yes.
Very well.
So if we, you mean that if we as a participant
Yep.
here give to you, that you will get matching to Eindhoven Innovation, that you will get a matching amount of companies, like for instance ASML?
Well, it's more for employees of ASML, employees of ASML or Philips or one of the larger corporations locally. Yeah.
But if you support us, and we always say but wisdom, work, or wealth, we are always saying the sweat equity is also important. Yeah. But the city will match us.
Oh, okay.
So that's also an opportunity.
The city's matching, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, help us.
Help us.
Help us
to
connect you.
We're developing a QR code that we'll put on our website. Where
always more plans than...
yeah.
But first, I want to thank you for now. Yay!
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
And are you ready?
Are you ready?
Once upon a time in a hive, there was a working class bee, a hunter bee, and there was a representative queen of the mother nature. They made me believe more in the possibilities of making the world a better place. The work that what you are doing, you explained it very well in a positive discriminative way of woman power, and I support that fully. You represent the feminine and masculine side in an embodiment level, and you choose winter, the least popular of all the seasons, and you use mathematical themes to present your idea. Beautiful combination of everything, and you are the people who want to change the world, and I am sure you are doing the best. Even if it is a small butterfly effect, it counts. Thank you.
Well, now we're heading for drinks at the bar. For those of you who want to stay for dinner, talk to Zoe. She and during the dinner you can go more in depth with the speakers. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
Betsy,
Yeah,
one.
I think actually you had a quick comment. Hold on, just one moment.
Just one more comment.
Let's turn it back to these guys to ask how we can help them. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, up, sit.
How can we help you?
Sorry about this. Sorry about this.
The question how we can help us. We are an NGO, a stichting. We rely on donations and on the subsidies. I won't ask for subsidies because it's tricky. Donations are welcome. We have ambi status, which means that it's tax deductible for as a person or as a company as well. So I go to protectourwinters.nl and then you'll find all the information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, you're welcome to join our community. We also have an angel accelerator program where we educate angel investors. There's a new one starting in Q1. We are not, we're just a BV because we believe that this also needs to be, commercially viable to make the most impact. So yeah, you're welcome to join us if you want to learn more about becoming a confident angel investor. As I said, it's very low entry, for some people, of course, but yeah. So that's it's also fun. Yeah, that's part of doing it. It's fun being part of the process.
Well, thank you. See you last Thursday of January again here, and then meanwhile we keep in touch via email and so on. Thank you.